Put on your big Hollywood sunglasses and light the torch, because it's Cellar time. Welcome to the Crack Cellar, as the prophecy was once foretold. I'm Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel.
I'm Broadcaster Nickels.
And today we're here to review...
That sound good? How good did that sound? It was decent. Do we have to start over? Do another retake?
I'll say that's more of a season 2 than a season 1, if we're comparing it to Outer Range. The wonderful show we're here to review.
Motherfucker! You son of a
bitch. We never reviewed season 1 of Outer Range, but I mean, it was a good, decent sort of like, what if we did Yellowstone and made it weird and put some David Lynch shit in? And it was novel and it was kind of cool, and it didn't take itself too far. It kind of knew exactly how much sci-fi to put in before it kind of got cringy for, you know, the genre, the cowboy genre, whatever you want to call that. It was a serviceable, cool show that I was genuinely looking forward to season 2.
I was really hyped for season 2, to be honest. Probably one of the only shows I've been hyped for in a long... I mean, last show I was hyped for probably was Raised by Wolves.
Oh, wow.
Kind of another letdown season, you know, if I'm thinking about it. It was good, but one of those seasons that just never really lived up to the previous one, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it was kind of see, the thing is we're talking about Outer Range right now, and it's so much bigger of a letdown than the Raised by Wolves.
Sure.
Like,
because
like Raised by Wolves season 2 had some genuinely insane, like the fucking end where the dude gets hung as an upside down cross or whatever in the sky, whatever the fuck that was. I barely remember it at this point, but there were some moments in season 2 of Raised by Wolves that were fucking crazy. And
he turned into the Tree of Life.
Yeah,
that's what happened to him.
Outer Range, I struggled to find a single redeeming value. They took everything about season 1 that was good and kind of made it worse. And they took stuff that wasn't in season 1 at all, and they like magnified it. Like the cop, the sheriff, her hugely expanded role was so cringy in this season. It was obviously just put in for one reason and one reason only. Kathleen Kennedy, you know, it's the Force is female. There's no, like, they took Brolin's screen time and cut it in half and pretty much gave it all to the sheriff.
Yeah, which is a shame because she's like the only good female character in that whole season. I
like her. Like
she's everyone else's character seems like a waste of time. I'm just gonna say it, like when Billy dies, the way he dies, I'm like, all right, there's gonna be some weird black substance type event that's gonna happen, and because he raises to the sky and shit. It's like, okay, something crazy is about to happen, and it all just ends up being like theatrical, like hallucination type shit.
Yeah,
and that's just one case. That's just one case, you know, where so Billy's story kind of goes nowhere. He, like, abruptly out of nowhere in season 2. I forget the other brother's name. The one that the mama's boy or whatever that kills Billy, but that aggression seemed like it was out of fucking nowhere. He seemed jealous of him in the first season, no doubt, but just the escalation in season 2 to killing him with the fucking fire stake or stoke or whatever you call it, that seemed like just crazy to me. And not really much of a payoff, because like 2 minutes later in a different scene he's crying about it almost. So.
Oh yeah, when he's in the truck with the girl, Josh Brolin's daughter, I guess. that what you're talking about?
Grand granddaughter.
Grand, grand, right? Grand. Yes. Okay. Uh,
Yeah, Josh, dude, we're getting old, dude. Josh is playing a grandpa now. Josh is
yeah, I know.
grandpa status roles now.
I
It's
know.
not. This isn't No Country for Old Men, Brolin.
Damn. I wish we had that one. There was some really interesting stuff from season one that I was hoping they would go deeper into, like when he goes in the hole and goes to the future when the military's there and shit. And I was hoping that we would get more of that and maybe just more of the grounded part of the show from season one as well. But we really just got a lot of sort of, first of all, needless extra backstory with Josh Brolin, where they show like how he meets the police chief in the past. That whole thing I thought was just almost, it
I
felt
thought
like
that was
retcon. It felt like a retcon to me almost. Like they just kind of decided, we want to change what happened.
well. It definitely. I can't argue with you that there's no doubt it could have been a decision they made on the fly for season two,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a decent one. It wasn't bad. I thought like that whole thing was. I think though the biggest time sink to me was uh the granddaughter's mom. That whole thing seems like it's
Oh
from
yeah.
spanning from season one to season two,
Mm-hmm.
like a gigantic waste of time, and also kind of like a, like wasting the audience's time with the story and the payoff, you know? Because now all that's left is the whole. I was really thinking the mom was like some type of time traveler or something like Brolin,
Mm-hmm.
especially after they showed uh fuck, what's his name? The Josh Brolin's arch nemesis that owns the land, the
Yeah.
father of the other son, whatever his name is, I forget. Um, as soon as like they suggested he definitely knows he came from the hole and there's like some memory lapse and shit like that going on. I thought that was I, well, shit, I forgot what I was going with, but I just
The wife, the mom of Amy, just being a total
oh
waste of time, bullshit character. It was amounted to
yeah,
filler. I mean, it was
yeah,
half this season felt like filler to me. Literally
yeah.
half the season.
Unless it's a hoodwink again, because
Hmm.
all of it seems like at this point, if season three comes in and then all of a sudden makes everything significant again, like no, it's actually not what it seems. And it's some crazy elaborate shit. Then I guess I'm holding my breath. But at this
Yeah.
point, it seems like the series is going downhill sharply. I wouldn't even doubt departure of Brolin before season three is announced.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
how kind of
I wouldn't want to be attached to this bullshit if I were him. It's not a good
no.
show. It's going way down faster than I would have ever thought. It, it's just kind of a bummer because there's so few like shows out there where it's like it felt like quality in season one where it's like we're not going to go into like some pandering politics. It felt like it had its boots on the ground in terms of like not taking the sci-fi too far. It had this good vibe and they just totally ruined it. They fucking ruined the je ne sais quoi of the whole. Like
Yeah.
what they did to the whole is they sort of stole the cave. There, have you ever seen the show Dark? It's a German sci-fi show. It's about time travel.
Mm, I don't think so.
All right. Well,
So-
it, the thing about it is this is a very popular. It's the most popular Netflix German show ever. It was huge all around the world. And season one of Outer Range didn't feel like it was ripping off Dark at all. And in fact, I didn't even draw a parallel to the two shows in season one at all. But as soon as I started watching season two with the way they changed the way the whole works and like what they were doing with the whole, I instantly realized, oh, the writers of this show watched Dark and they're like, we can do our version of that, but we'll use a hole instead of the cave at the nuclear plant from Dark. And it's fucking derivative bullshit is what I'm trying to say. They fucking lost all idea of what to do and they said, let's just copy Dark because this entire season storyline is a watered down piece of shit version of Dark.
Yeah. It's funny because I could think of a million things better than what they're coming up with, just based on what they left from season one.
Mm-hmm.
If you hired me on as a writer and they were like, we don't have any ideas, where do we go from here? I could think of so many fucking better ideas than how it starts, how season two starts. I'll just say that, especially
Yeah.
where it ends too, with not only, I mean, they got the guy that owns the other property next to him. He's a time traveler now. He jumped in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
The granddaughter's a time traveler. Obviously, she was the
Mm-hmm.
first one. Well, the second one, technically, that we knew of. Brolin's the one. Now his son, uh, not the rodeo kid, but the other one that killed killed the other dude's son.
Mm-hmm.
I forget that guy's name. Anyways, just too many people, but all of them jumped in the hole now. They're all fucking with time.
Exactly.
And if there's anything I've learned from time traveling movies and shows, is you got to keep it
Mm-hmm.
relatively simple and get to the point. Because if you don't, it becomes so convoluted so fucking fast
Yeah.
that no one's gonna want to follow. And I don't know. Season three is just not it's not looking good.
No, no. And I can tell you exactly what's going to happen in season 3 just because I know what they're doing with copying Dark. They're going to get to like this sort of the end of time. You remember Chrono Trigger, the end of time, that little floating island in space with the fucking dude in the top hat? What was his name? Also Balthazar,
Wait,
right?
what are we talking about?
Chrono Trigger. Balthazar, end of time.
Oh, yeah, in
They're
the
going to
end of Times Square, yeah.
they're gonna get to something like that in this show in season 3, and they're gonna find some like bald Emperor Palpatine looking motherfucker who's gonna be like, "This has all been according to my plan. You're all my pawns." Blah blah blah. And then they're gonna have some stupid fucking plot to like stop him from the beginning, and they're gonna go back in time to the very beginning. It's gonna be that. I fucking know it. I'm calling it right now because I can tell from season 2 they are bankrupt in the writing department. Nothing about this felt original. It all felt like treading water, buying time, and just wasting the fucking talent of this cast, which I think is an amazing cast for the most part. And they just
What do you
fucking wasted it.
what do you what do you think it is at this point? Do you think it's like, because I'm starting to wonder if they've now fired all of the shitty writers and there's barely anybody left? Or
That's an interesting. I don't know. Maybe they did fire the original writers.
because it kind of seems like that's where culture's at right now. Like all these studios and stuff are kind of in panic trying to win back their audiences. And I mean, the only way to do that is actually write something that's even remotely what they want because they've
Mm-hmm.
given like zero so far. That requires people that are just a little not woke. And I feel like that's almost what all writers were. So they had to chop a fuck ton of them, you know,
Yeah.
but most of their army of writers to, I mean, what I think if you really think about it, it might be what that whole AI writing thing was really about.
It's funny you
They
mentioned
really
AI.
wanted them just to get freaked out
Mm-hmm.
and just leave and go protest. You're like, yeah, it's AI. Yeah, we don't want you because AI is going to replace you. And then, like, meanwhile, 3 years from now, they're just hiring a bunch of new writers that are actually writing good shit. Surprise! Or I should rephrase that: are allowed to write good stuff because that's the other side of the coin. You know, it's like everything I just said might be true, but then there has to be some good writers out there that have friends in the right places that have been allowed to essentially keep some type of job in that industry. And what do those guys do? They're essentially just been handcuffed and they don't get to do anything cool. They just have to stand by. What's the phrase?
Stand down and stand by.
Yeah. Yeah. Stand down and stand by.
Yeah, I got the feeling that they actually used AI to write parts of this season. Not the whole season, but there are certain parts that just felt so like they plugged in a scenario into a prompt to ask what would happen. Like especially with the stuff with the brothers. Um, the
Yeah, that's true, dude. No
like,
doubt. That kind of does feel like an AI prompt response.
yeah, just like you just watching it, and you're like, this doesn't feel human. It feels like a fucking robot telling me what the humans would do.
There's
It's
almost no interaction between those guys.
no,
Now that I'm thinking about it,
nope.
even in season one,
No, they didn't
very
really
little.
build up anything with those guys.
I mean, they both have their individual things. Rhett, that's the rodeo guy. He kind of has a story that goes nowhere at all. At least
Mm-hmm.
the other one we're talking about has, the whole murder thing going. That was somewhat intriguing, like especially when they threw the body in the hole and then he appeared in the mountain and then now that I'm saying this all out loud, I remember the mountain disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that kind of just I don't
Yeah.
know, went nowhere. Was super
Mm-hmm.
cool. I was like, all
Yep.
right, the series is about to get sick. We're about to see some cool shit. And
Yeah.
then
All
like,
the
nah.
intrigue from season one is completely missing from season two. There's
hmm
no intrigue in season two. It's just like checking boxes, what you would expect from season two in a vacuum. Just, I don't know, man. Really disappointing. And I feel like the whole Josh Brolin thing quitting, I feel like he quit in this season. His performance felt like quiet quitting.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Josh is a big I'll just say I'm surprised he gets roles
Mm-hmm.
still. Like he doesn't seem like a type of guy unless he's completely different than what he seems. But he kind of seems more of like a no bullshit. I don't believe in a lot of the shit that is trying to be pushed nowadays type of guy. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely. But it, he didn't feel invested in this season at all. I don't think I think he does probably want out, and I'm wondering if this show is even going to get a third season after we've kind of talked about it a bit. It Have they announced that? Have you heard anything about it?
I don't. I don't know if maybe I just don't pay attention, to be honest, because I was just so unimpressed with the season. I didn't really go looking for any information. I mean, after I got done with the first season, I immediately,
Mm-hmm.
searched if like this was going to be like a one-off thing or if they already had any plans, but
Yeah,
so I wouldn't know.
yeah. What'd you think about fucking young Josh Brolin?
He
Young Royal Labat.
um I mean, he was pretty good. I don't I'm trying to think. There was something that confused me, or like it was in a scene or something. I had to like rewind it and see it like a couple times, and it just didn't make any sense but it's when young uh Josh Brolin is gets caught by his son on the side of the work trailer with a girl, one of the Abbott girls. It's not his
Mm-hmm.
mom,
Yeah.
and he immediately gets like fucking furious. He's like, "Fuck you!"
Yeah.
and like makes a scene, right? And I didn't understand it. I was like, "Wait a minute!" I'm like, "Is they just went out of their way to illustrate that Brolin's character is not with their mother yet. In fact, it's like a lot worse than we like were led to think
Mm-hmm.
initially." And then he gets caught making out with another sister, and it's like supposed to be a big deal to us. And it's supposed to be a big deal to this. I don't know. It was weird.
It's called
Just seemed really weird.
melodrama and filler.
Yeah,
Yeah, is what I would call it.
but it didn't go anywhere. It's
That's
like
that's
literally
the
like
definition
five
of
minutes,
filler, right? Doesn't go
dude.
anywhere. That's what filler
It was
is.
just so weird. You're like, okay, now they're gonna be mad at each other, and then it was just like under the table almost immediately.
Yeah. Uh, so do you think that? So this is really getting in the weeds with time travel. Do you believe now that when they go to the hole and they hang out in the past, do you think they're changing the future, or do you think the future they come from is already locked and that nothing can really change? Because I that part that you're talking about that you're confused by, it confused me a little bit too, until I started to think about the way time travel works in certain TV shows, and I was thinking maybe uh, the son thinks that if he's making out with this other girl, that it's going to change the timeline, and he's never going to be born, and he's never going to get with his mom. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's what he was thinking.
I mean, whatever he was thinking, they did no job trying to let the viewers know.
Yeah.
Like it was really just like this emotional outburst that we're like, okay, something's about to happen here. And then next scene, all right, we're waiting. Next scene with them. Oh, they're just not even gonna address it. It's just a big. It was just nothing. Cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was there's a few of those in this whole series where I just I don't understand. It's almost like they're constant, like what you brought up. Maybe they're just retconning a bunch of stuff, and they're just trying to make it make sense now.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't really stand out as one of those scenes that necessarily would. Maybe when season 3 comes, it will stand out more as like a moment when they change the story significantly. But
Yeah. Well,
it's,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
I,
other things like the end of the season when they kind of show where the granddaughter gets her camper's clothes from
mm-hmm.
because she meets him at the end of season 2, or the younger granddaughter meets him at the end of season
Right.
2, and it's like supposed to imply this cyclical time trap they're
Mm-hmm.
in or something like that. It's just like, you know, I wanna believe that that's because that's where my mind goes. I'm like, okay, here's something. Okay, now we're getting told there's some type of cyclical time trap. I get this feeling though in my gut, season 3 is going to come, and that's not what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, like that her like foster parents have like some key purpose in the show, and that's why they went out of their way to force the older version to put the younger version in the hole so that she will become the older version, which I guess confirms the show's continuity with time travel, is that the times are not locked and that she needed that to happen or everything was going to change, which I guess sort of validates the son's response to the makeout session, but it is getting really messy, and they're not really doing a good job with explaining why any of this shit matters, because none of it feels like it matters anymore.
Yeah. I think you just nailed it. Season 1 had enough intrigue to you're like waiting to see why it all matters. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, Brolin's character is the linchpin in something crazy. You know? No. No, in fact, a strong lesbian native woman actually is what started it all, technically.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They had to make sure that they get that in, didn't they? I don't think they even
Oh yeah.
expected to get a season 2. I think that they were just caught flat-footed. They're like, "Wait, you guys renewed us? Fuck, we have to think of something." And they fucking went to Chat GPT and said, "Make us a season 2."
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
unfortunate. Fat L for Outer Range season 2.
And like
I
how
would
much of
say,
that season was just conversations in cars? You notice that? There was so much scenes of them just driving and having little drive-in chats. It's just like, and how many episodes was the season? Like 8 episodes? It wasn't long. Was it 10 or
yeah,
8?
it was 8 episodes, I
So,
think.
so like out of 8 episodes, I swear to God, there were like 12 drive-in chats. It just happened all the time, and it's just such like, dude.
It's probably because a lot, all of them. I bet you Josh Brolin was probably big showing them, dude. I bet you he didn't show up. for
Oh,
on
maybe
the
he's
set.
like, I'm only going to be on the set for like 4 days, and then you
Yeah,
guys got to figure it out, and that could be, dude. I could
yeah,
see that.
dude.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Which also implies that he's trying to probably squeeze his way out of a TV contract or
Mm-hmm.
get himself killed off. Or man,
Well,
I'll
that's
tell
the
you what.
trend. Costner's off Yellowstone. Brolin's gonna see that and be like, dude, Yellowstone's actually good. Why am I on fucking Outer Range still? Fuck.
Yeah, it's just so funny, dude. The pattern of just like there's even remotely a cool white dude in any show, it's like, all right, we're gonna slowly suffocate that character
Mm-hmm.
down
Yep.
until they're nothing. Or maybe we'll just fire the guy if there's something we can find out, you know?
We'll make it insufferable for him so he quits, and then we can demonize him for quitting. Be like, this, he's taking paychecks from native women who want to make season 3 of Outer Range.
Man,
uh,
I would love those allegations because if the tides turned 5 years later, I'd be like,
mm,
try to star in a Pocahontas movie.
yeah.
Like, what's up, bitches?
Oh shit.
I can believe, dude.
Any other thoughts on the season 2 of Outer Range? Anything you want to talk about we haven't covered yet? There was a continuity error in the Indian reservation past or whatever, the 1800s, where the sheriff went back and she met the girl who was also a time traveler, coincidentally from the 70s or some shit. Uh,
Oh
so
yeah, I totally forgot.
there,
Another lesbian, by the way.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Dude, what are the chances?
and I love how they portrayed the women as like macho and powerful and bold, and like the male Indian was like a little crybaby, like running to mommy and being like, they took her, yeah, let's go get the army, yeah. Like he was like, they made him such a little bitch, and all the women were like girl bosses. Like, okay,
Of
I don't
course.
think that's
Yeah.
what Native Americans were like in the 1800s. I don't think that's what they were like. I'm pretty sure the dudes were fucking cannibalistic murderers, but okay.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, you notice that the younger girl was leading them too. She was
Uh-huh.
the hunter as well. It's like,
It's no regard for like any real, like you're going out of your way to include Native Americans as representation. Okay, cool. But then you're going to represent them incorrectly, grossly incorrectly. What the fuck's the point? Like, what are you? I just don't understand it. Like, if I were a Native American, I'd look at that and be like, "Fuck the white man. This is, they're mocking me now. They're fucking mocking me."
well, I think they've been mocking him openly for quite some time. I think any type of gender inclusion, DEI, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
that immediately mocks anything it injects itself into.
Yeah.
I don't know how people don't ever see it. It's always seems so blatantly obvious that it's like blackface. It's
Mm-hmm.
weird. They're like, what's a good one? Like Latin X.
Latinx. Oh
You
God,
know, every time I
Latinx.
see that, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, how can you convince one real Latin person that that's even
None of them used it.
acceptable? You know,
Yeah.
like, hey, here's your culture. There's some problems. They don't like women as much as we think they should. So let's put a X on the
Yeah.
end of that fucking word.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's just fucking. It's like putting a
Yeah.
clown nose on somebody. They're like, "Here's a red nose." It's a fucking.
It's
I'm
fucking
trying
genjutsu, man. They put in a fucking eye on the moon. That's what's going
to.
on.
I think LGBTQ. They kind of went through the same thing eventually too, because it was LGBT,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then a Q. That was the first clown nose, and
Yeah.
then fucking that was
Yep.
just.
Yep. So anyway, back to what I was saying about the continuity error. You know how that chick, the front one from the 70s, like shows a tattoo on her shoulder or something, and it's like a Led Zeppelin tattoo? You remember that?
Yes. Yes.
So that the tattoo, so the year that she says she came from, that tattoo didn't exist yet because the album cover from that hadn't come out yet. So I mean,
Like
it's
how bad?
quibbling. They missed it by about 3 years, I think.
Ah, it's not terrible.
It's not terrible, and honestly,
Just
that's
goes
like
to
my
show you who's writing.
least. It's my least criticism of the show. Like it, who gives a fuck? But I think it does sort of just kind of paint a picture of the level of effort going into the writing. Like I don't think there was a lot of revisions. I don't think there were a lot of drafts. I think they kind of just
Yeah.
fucking threw paint at the wall, and they're just like, "Fuck it, this is what we're doing."
I think it also is telling of the age of the writers too, that they
Mm-hmm.
miss something like that, particularly like that,
Yeah.
because they probably just had no fucking idea.
Mm-hmm.
They probably Googled it once, saw something, and they're like, "Yep, that's accurate. We'll
Yeah.
use that tattoo on her arm."
All right. Well, any predictions for season 3 if this fucking travesty continues?
Cancellation for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we're
Who
getting a
knows?
season
Season
4.
three might be a wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. But if it's not, I would expect at least one of two things: Josh Brolin's departure or the cancellation of the show.
Yeah. Uh, I think the bald Palpatine figure in my figurative season 3 is going to be Wayne Tillerson. I think that like it's going to be him in Palpatine makeup, and he's going to be like 108 years old and be like, "I finally done it. I've got you, Royal." And there's some stupid ass fucking end of time battle, and all the shit that was cool is never gonna go anywhere. We're never gonna figure out about the mountain disappearing. We're never gonna figure out about the fucking future with the military at the whole. None of that. No.
I will say there, dude. If Wayne and uh, Royal Abbott fucking fall into the hole and they go through like some Lavos final battle. Remember the final battle with Lavos and
Mm-hmm.
Crozier, where it's like
Yeah.
the stream of time and like you're constantly going past all the moments you've been in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. They're having like a fucking Metal Gear Solid 4 fucking Snake versus Revolver Ocelot fist fight on top of the
Yep.
tower going through a
Totally.
Lavos time stream, dude. Like
Totally.
if we get that we might get a redemption arc. We might get a good review score out of me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
until then,
Well, broadcaster,
until then,
as you know, here in the Crack Cellar, we have an official patented rating system of which you have every rank memorized at all times. You have never once forgotten a rank in this system. And,
indeed.
and today, I would like to know what your rank is for season 2 of Outer Range.
I'm gonna give it 8 Wayne Tillersons. Let's see. What are we on, the horror?
Yeah.
The horror stuff,
Yes,
right?
the 80s
Yeah,
slasher
yeah.
rating system. He was
80s
just
horror.
joking, folks. He's a professional.
There's so many complicated things going through my mind right now. I'm gonna have to give it a Jason. Is that a B? Jason a B?
Yes, that is a B. Yeah.
Yeah.
Giving it a Jason. Okay, that's wow. I'm surprised. Uh, well, fuck that shit.
Fuck that
I'm giving
shit.
it a Chucky, dude. This is a fucking. This is the
Give it.
definition of a Chucky, dude. This thing was a joke from beginning to end. The only real redeeming factor of the entire season
Had
was
good
just.
cinematography.
I was about to say the directing. Like it had great direction. Like all the scenes with like the David Lynch weirdness, those were still pretty cool. It's just like the writing and story was awful. And yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, dude, if it I might be giving it too much credit by giving it a Chucky, but I'm gonna give it a Chucky because it's not the worst fucking thing I've seen on TV. But god damn, it was not good, and I felt like a sucker for liking this show. That's what season 2 did to me. It made me feel stupid for liking season 1. And on that note, we'll close out.